Somebody once asked me if I could teach. It was a physical workshop I was doing, and she came up to me before we got started and she said, I don't want to quit drinking, but I want you to teach me how to drink normally. I just want to drink like my friends. I don't want to drink until I fall over, which is what I usually do. So I had to disappoint her and say that I couldn't. I said the harsh truth is no, I can't. And that's because once we've crossed the line into dependence, there's no going back, really. There's no drinking normally. We have to drop that desire. We have to accept that we need to quit and move forward. And that way, we're going to finally find peace. Yeah, how long have you guys been jumping on and off that old wagon? That's what we were trying to find out today. But however long it is, don't feel bad, because we can help you to make a change. And I don't know if any of you have seen this study. I think we might have it on our website somewhere. But the Tempest, which is a US sobriety group, they engaged some researchers to do a proper study. And these researchers interviewed hundreds of people that were in recovery. And they simply asked them, how long was it between that moment when you knew that you had a bit of a problem and the moment when you did something about it? So in other words, how long were you going around and hopping on and off the wagon? And everybody gave their answer, and then they worked out the average. And the average was 11 years. And when I first heard that, I thought, that's such a long time. I'm really surprised. But when I reflected on my own situation, I realized that I spent the whole of my 50s trying and failing to moderate. So I was in the place where I just couldn't accept that I would have to give up alcohol. So I was still trying to control it. So 11 years. But please don't feel bad about it, because all it means, all that hopping on and off the wagon, it's really a contemplation phase. When we make a big decision, whether we're going to move house or change jobs or get divorced, we don't do it instantly, do we? We have to think about it. We have to contemplate. And this is a big decision. And if alcohol's been your best friend for years, it's a big decision to let it go. It's the right decision, but it's still a big decision, and there will be a grieving period. Prepare for that. You will feel sad sometimes. You're going to go through all sorts of ups and downs, and that is one of them. You will feel sad, but you will move through that. What I noticed on your comments today was that some of you are making rules, the rules as we call them. And that is a sure sign of dependence. Again, it's a sign of trying to control this thing because you don't want to give up alcohol. Because people without a drinking problem, they'd never dream of making rules, would they? Alcohol isn't even on their radar. They wouldn't think, I'm only going to drink on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and I'm only going to have 3 units when I get out Saturday night. They wouldn't, and they think we're crazy when they hear that we do things like that. And the pull of moderation is there, and it's important to accept that there's no door number 3. We either drink or we don't drink. For people like us, there's no door number 3. There's no drinking normally. And just accept that and move on, and put all that energy that we put into trying to moderate, trying to control, put it into moving forward and building an alcohol-free life that you love, because it is possible. Because drinking is hard and it gets harder. Stopping drinking is hard, but it gets easier. That's what you need to know. 3 months of effort. And that's why we make our breaking free 3 months. Because 3 months of hard work and effort, and you get your life back. But if you carry on drinking, then you never get your life back, and it gets worse and worse because it's progressive. That's what alcohol does. So let's think about why we fall off the wagon after a period of sobriety. Because when we moderate, we white knuckle, don't we? We feel a bit deprived. We're gritting our teeth. We're trying it, but why do we fall off? There's something that William Porter discovered called fading effect bias, which is quite important to know about. Because at Tribe Sober, we come across lots of people that come to us and they say, I was sober for a year. Sometimes they say I was sober for 10 years. And then I just fell off and decided that I was going to have a drink. And they always say, I want to get back there because I felt so much better when I wasn't drinking. But why does that happen? Why would somebody that's really nailed the hard bit, the difficult bit, the 3 months, why on earth would they go back? They go back because they get fading effect bias, FAB we call it for short. And fading effect bias, it's when you've been sober for a while and you're settling into it. And then you start to feel overconfident. You think, oh, I've had a good break now. I'm going to a wedding on Saturday. Surely I can just have one glass of champagne and then I won't have a drink for another few weeks. And it never really works. And our brain is tricking us because our brain tends to remember, it romanticizes our drinking years. And you start remembering the nice times, you start remembering the weddings with the champagne, and you forget about what happened at the end of that wedding when you completely passed out. Your brain glosses over the bad things. And that's why I recommend in your journal, we've got Patty, our journaling expert here, which is handy, but in your journal, have your why list in the front, and then at the back, have what I call your blacklist. And on the blacklist, you just write down everything that's happened that you wish hadn't happened. Maybe I had lots of things on that list, lots of arguments, lots of passing out, blackouts, falling downstairs. You just put it all there. And then when you do get hit by fading effect bias, because it's a natural thing, it's our brain that's triggering us, look at your blacklist and think, do I really want to go back to all that nonsense? I'm free now. Surely I should stick with my freedom. In the decade that I've been running Tribe Sober, I've never really come across anyone that said, I can drink normally now. I did your course and this and that, and now I can drink normally. They tend to say, I drank normally for a while, but then it crept up again. And interestingly, this week, since we've been running Reset, which means that we've got more exposure on Facebook, I think we've got about 6 ex-members have come back to us. And those are people that did get sober and they were doing okay. They thought they were fine, and now they've realized that, oh yes, maybe I need to have another go at this thing. It hasn't quite settled yet. You have to be patient and you have to think, how long was I drinking for? Because you're not going to change this overnight. There is a rule of thumb that the rehabs use. The rehab doctor told me this, that for every year that you drink, you need to allow 1 month of recovery. So I drank for 40 years. So that means my recovery was over 3 years. And don't panic. That doesn't mean that you'll be climbing the walls for 3 years. Not at all. It's a good thing because it means that the benefits and the healing keep coming in for years. So it takes time to heal. Yeah, I was thinking about those people that have come back, our members. If any of you are here, welcome back. Welcome home, as Grania would say. The best way to quit and keep it off is to join a community like Tribe Sober and then stick around. Don't leave. We are so blessed at Tribe Sober in that we've got people that have been with us for years and they're like family. And they stick with us because they love helping new people to get sober, because they remember how hard it was and they've become passionate about sobriety, as many of us do, and they just want to help other people to get there. I see we've got Bev in the chat sending a heart. She's an example of one of our ambassadors that did the thing herself, and now she's thriving in her alcohol-free life. She's a sailor and she mans the bar in her yacht club, which can be quite challenging, but she's fine. In fact, she told me once, seeing all those drunk people on the other side of the bar, it just reinforces her motivation. So remember, the harsh truth is that we can never win against a substance that has been designed to keep us hooked. It is addictive. And the thing with alcohol, it's also a diuretic. So when we drink, we get thirsty and then we have more drinks. And there was some comment, somebody said that she's a fast drinker, and I was the same. And whether it's wine, whiskey, or tea or water, I was always drinking fast. So we do tend to get drunk quickly. And I used to love drinking on an empty stomach. But what we need to do is realize that not wanting to be fixed so that we can drink normally, that lady came and asked me to fix her. Being fixed is about not wanting to drink anymore. That is real freedom. That is when your desire to drink is diminished because you just don't see it as something desirable, and then you really are free. It's about not being a slave to an industry that's been manipulating us for years, and it doesn't give a damn if we get addicted or ruin our health. There's a wonderful blog by 𝐶𝐨𝐵 that I see Monica put up on the group today. And she emphasizes the fact that if we keep stopping and starting, all we're doing is the hardest bit over and over again. So even if it gets tough, just keep going, and then you'll get through. Because stopping and starting, I always used to do dry January, and I absolutely hated it, and I was white-knuckling it and counting the days. And during that period, my subconscious must have been thinking, oh, she's doing that sobriety thing again. How miserable we're going to be for a month, because that was my mindset. If you keep going for 3 months, 6 months, your subconscious is going to finally accept the fact that life is so much better without it. And then it'll start working with you rather than against you. And Ambassador Grania said something quite profound this morning. We've got a new Breaking Free WhatsApp group just for the few people that have already signed up. And she was explaining to them how important it is to do all the work that we give every day of the 3 months. And she said, do all that, and then it's done. And then she said the subconscious has all it needs. I thought that was beautiful. And that's the key. And if you remember my example on day 1 of socializing without alcohol again and again until my subconscious finally accepted, yes, it is possible. Because your subconscious is running the show. It's incredibly powerful. So that's where you need to do the work. And talking of 𝐶𝐨𝐵, she said something very interesting when I interviewed her for our podcast. She was talking about how a lot of us wake up at 3 a.m. and sometimes we start doing that quiz on our laptops. Am I an alcoholic? Because we feel so bad at 3 o'clock with the anxiety, etc. And she said to me, you're asking the wrong question. And she said that we shouldn't, you know those quizzes, don't you? It asks things like, do you drink in the morning? Oh, of course not. Do you have time off work because of your drinking? And you're thinking, no, I stagger in with a hangover. I can do that. So you convince yourself you're not that bad and you carry on drinking. But Claire says that we're asking the wrong question. And the question we should be asking is alcohol messing with my mind? And that is so true. And all those years that we spend in the moderation trap, that constant dialogue, it's filling our mind. It's when you're watching the news and there's a ticker at the bottom of the screen and it's going round and round, and you're not really reading it all the time, but you're conscious of it, and you glance at it now and again. I think that's what our mind is like when we're moderating, because we're thinking, I'm going out tonight, I'll have 3 units, and oh, I had too much last night. It's always there, and that is why sobriety is freedom. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's peace. But going back to those quizzes, all we're really looking for is reassurance that we're not like that homeless man in the park, the one clutching his whiskey in a brown paper bag. But we shouldn't be comparing ourselves with him. We should be comparing ourselves to the very best version of ourselves that we can be. And yeah, going back to the man in the park, I think society and big alcohol, they've played a part in this. They've stigmatized the alcohol to such an extent that we believe, and I certainly did, that if we're a fully functioning person, if we've got a good job, a nice family that we're bringing up, then we can't possibly have a problem. And that's exactly what the alcohol industry wants us to think. So we'll carry on buying the toxic product. Whereas in reality, the world is full of high achievers who are struggling with alcohol dependence. And again, research has been done, and 90% of those people who are struggling with addiction do not reach out for help. We're talking about lawyers, teachers, healthcare workers, stay-at-home moms. We're not talking about the tramp in the park here. And these are all people that are struggling in shame and silence. But you reached out and you're here, which is fantastic. So you are a tiny minority with a lot of courage. So I applaud you, and I'm thrilled that you're here. You guys, you've done the hardest thing. You've accepted there's a problem and you've done something about it. Just being here is a beginning. In fact, I was listening to a podcast today. I'm quite a fan of James Clear. He wrote Atomic Habits, and that's a great book if you haven't read it. And he said that one of his clients, he's a coach, he was trying to get into a habit of going to the gym every day. And what he did to start with is he just drove to the gym, and I think he parked the car and he went inside and he had a coffee or something. He didn't exercise. And every day he did that, and he kept doing that. And one day he went on one machine and exercised for about 5 minutes. But he kept doing it and kept doing it. And he had his gym clothes out near the door. And James was talking about another client who actually would sleep in his gym clothes, so he could just get up and go. But I thought that just going to the gym and not even going in yet was really interesting. And he did that for a couple of weeks, and gradually he stayed longer and longer. And in a way, that's what you might be doing with this 5-day reset, dipping your toe in. But obviously what we want is for you to continue this journey. Now, today's podcast, I hope you've listened to it, or you will listen to it. It's by a lovely guy called Ken Middleton, who's written a book called Bamboozled. It's got the great subtitle of How Alcohol Makes Fools of Us All, and it certainly does. And he's got a quote that I often use, and his quote is, "Even if alcohol doesn't destroy you, it will prevent you from reaching your potential." And I think that's incredibly true. And Ken himself is a great example. He didn't have a huge problem. He was a regular drinker. He quit at the age of 40 because he was really ambitious, and he worked in sales. So he experimented. He would have his normal drinking periods, and then he would stop drinking for, say, a month, and then start again for the next month. And he would look at his results, and they were so much better when he wasn't drinking. So for him, it was a no-brainer. But I love that fact that it's not about being the homeless man in the park. It's about being the best version of yourself that you can be, and it's about reaching your potential. And I've had loads of examples like this. I think I told you about the guy that wanted sobriety to give him an edge. This one he became quite close to tribes, but he used to help me to run the physical workshops actually. And he was a banker and he had his own small kind of boutique banking company. And I think he had maybe a dozen employees and he had a beautiful office and a fridge. Like in South Africa, a lot of the offices have fridges and booze in it. And a lot of people have drinks at the end of the evening. And when Nick came to our workshop for the first time, he said, "Oh, I'm in a very boozy industry. There's no way I'll be able to give up because my colleagues won't like it and it'll really ruin the vibe, etc." Anyway, after much persuasion, we finally convinced him that he did need to quit. Actually, he had some quite serious health issues. So he quit. And the point of my story is that about a couple of months into his sobriety, he noticed that the bar bill from this fridge was much lower. He said to his colleagues, "Oh, you mustn't feel that you can't drink because I'm not drinking. It's fine." And they said to him, "Actually, we didn't really want to drink that much. We just thought that we just wanted to make you happy enough." So he was the ringleader and he didn't realize. And I think quite a few of us discover that we were the instigator after all. Let me let in Monica here. So carry on drinking and you might never hit rock bottom, but neither will you reach your potential. Tribe Sober is full of people that have ditched the booze and they've changed their life dramatically. And what we mean when we say moderation, of course, is control. We put so much energy into trying to control our drinking. And then when it goes pear-shaped, we have to put even more energy on keeping the show on the road, going to work with a hangover, coping with the anxiety and the depression that comes with the drinking. But the good news is that we have to redirect that energy, first of all, into getting sober. And as I said, my belief is that it takes 3 months. And that's why Tribe Sober differs to AA, because I have been to AA and I know many people that have. And their approach seems to be that you need to keep going to meetings and keep going to meetings, and that you've got this lifetime struggle on your hands. And if you have one slip up, oh dear, you're in so much trouble. But we have a completely different approach. And I've worked with hundreds of people over the last 10 years. And I've seen the pattern. People that work hard for 3 months and then stay in a community, often helping the newbies, but keep present because you need to be able to talk to people that understand you. People like that, it's not going to be a lifetime struggle for them. We're not saying you must belong to Tribe Sober forever. We're saying we'd love you to stick around and help new people, but if you want to just wander off, then do. But it's not a lifetime struggle. But moderation is a lifetime struggle because, as I said at the beginning, once you've crossed that line, there's no going back. There's no moderating. There's no door 3. Just quit the bloody stuff and focus on building healthy habits. You're going to get your energy and your motivation back. You'll be saving time and money. You'll be creative again. You'll start wondering, what else can I do with my free time now that I'm not sitting around drinking every evening? Alcohol no longer has to be your only source of entertainment. You might have to find other sources of entertainment, and there are plenty out there, but it doesn't have to be just about drinking. So just rechannel that energy that you waste on trying to moderate or drink normally and start to build an alcohol-free life that you love, a life you don't want to escape from, because that's what a lot of us are doing when we're numbing out with the booze. We're escaping from our life, and we only get one life. Once we're sober, we reconnect with ourselves and we can identify who we are, what we really want out of our lives. And one thing that I wish that someone had told me when I was struggling in the moderation trap was it is much easier to quit completely than to try to moderate, because alcohol is an addictive substance. And you don't hear about people moderating heroin, do you? It's as ridiculous as that, trying to moderate alcohol. So quitting takes a few months. Moderation will be a lifetime struggle that you will eventually lose. And another problem with moderation is that you never give yourself time to experience the benefits. You've got to give yourself a year. That's what I say to people. Do this for a year. And at the end of the year, maybe go back to drinking. But hardly anybody does. At least experience the benefits. And you never give yourself enough time to heal either. And that's when the magic happens, because we need to heal our bodies, our brains, and there's a lot of healing to be done. All our hormones need to recalibrate, our metabolism needs to get back to normal. There's a lot of work, and our bodies and brains are amazing. Once we stop poisoning them on a daily basis, they start to heal, and they will start doing exactly what they're meant to do. So remember, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, but 3 months can change your life. And if you do join Breaking Free, you'll have support from people that have been just where you are now. We've got cheerleaders who have done Breaking Free themselves. You've got Lynn, who is on here now. So I want to leave you with one of our favorite reframes, which of course the fabulous Lucy came up with. I'd like you to listen to this on a personal basis and take on board that you don't have a drinking problem. You've got an opportunity to open up your life in ways you cannot even imagine now. So many of us that have been sober for years, we didn't imagine our lives would change so dramatically as they had. I certainly didn't think that I would be running a sobriety group when I was falling about drunk. And your life will improve dramatically. You'll feel healthier and happier than you have for years. So please get excited, because it is an exciting ride. It really is. Those normal drinkers that you've been envying, they don't get this chance. They've never been forced to the wall to deconstruct their life and rebuild it. And as Laura McCowan says in her book title, we are the luckiest. So remember that, we are the luckiest. So guys, that's me done. I did know actually some of your comments that I found interesting. Caroline, I was talking to you at the beginning, Caroline, about when you asked your husband to take control of the whiskey and just give you one glass every night, and then you would go off to the kitchen and find something to top it up with. Chantal's been trying to moderate for 4 years. She was the one that said she drank fast. I identified with that because I do too. And several of you today have said that you are all or nothing people. And I think we are, a lot of us drinkers, ex-drinkers. We really throw ourselves into things, and even drinking. I had to drink all the wine, and now I have to do all the sober things. Mo, who's here today, she talks about a time where she had no alcohol in the house. She was trying to moderate. But then she spent the evening going through cupboards looking for old bottles, and she found a few. So she made herself a cocktail of all these weird old bottles and made herself extremely ill. So that's the kind of crazy that happens, isn't it? Heidi says she's tried and failed infinite number of times. She's got no off switch. None of us have got an off switch. But that's going to change, Heidi, because she's joined Breaking Free. Deborah, all or nothing person again. Stephen's way of moderating was by implementing rules. He gave up hard liquor and just drank wine, presumably. I tried that as well. As white wine to red wine, thinking I don't really like red wine very much, but I got used to it. because we don't drink for the, I never drank for the taste. I drank for the buzz. Linda tries having just one, but discovers, like many of us, she's got no off switch. Sharon is another all or nothing lady. She'd open the wine and then she'd have to finish it. But she's decided now, a bit like me, she's done the all. Now she's going to do the nothing. So well done, Sharon. And Christine, yeah, she filled in her questionnaire, her task, and she actually said she didn't know the low limits. The low limits that I grew up with in the UK are 14 units, which is a bottle and a half of wine a week. But to be honest, that's rather a lot. It hasn't changed for years. And I did actually look into, there's this website in the UK called 𝐟𝐵𝐾, and they are the guys that say 14 units, that's safe. They say low risk. But I actually looked into these guys, and they are sponsored partly by the alcohol industry. So I'm highly suspicious of them now. I think Canada is a much cleaner example because they base their unit recommendation on very recent research into cancer, because of course alcohol's linked to 7 types of cancer now. And their recommendation is just 2 drinks a week. So I think the Canadians are more on the ball than the Brits with this. And Christine's spent 15 years in the moderation trap. That's 15 years than the 11-year average. So we definitely need to do some work with you. So I'm going to get us out of Facebook now so that we can have a chat. And we'll actually, what am I doing? I'm wondering if we should have Patty before I cut the feed. Yep. Yeah, we're still going.
Okay. All right. I'll jump in. I'll jump in real quick. God, I related to so many things you said, so much. Caroline, I also enrolled my husband to moderate my drinking, which is just such a codependent trap. Oh, dear God, there is no winning in that one. But it was his fault, so he had to do it. And then, yeah, I'd sneak into the kitchen and have more, or go into a party, go into someone. It's insane that it was his fault. Oi, crazy. And I also, yeah, with moderation, so many of us did that. One thing that I heard that was really helpful, I don't know what that noise is. One of the things that I heard that was really helpful for me early on was people that aren't having trouble with alcohol or alcoholics. I know some people are still reacting to the term, but people that aren't alcoholics don't wonder if they're alcoholics. Just if you're not diabetic, you don't usually say, I wonder if I'm diabetic. So if you're even wondering, it means there's a problem. And I thought that was really helpful for me. Oh yeah, I've been wondering about that for a long time. So anyway, all of that aside, I had been before. I've been clean and sober for quite a while now. But I did have that connection and then left that connection and relapsed and started drinking hard again. So I know that connection is key, that connection is what makes the difference. And that's why finding your tribe is so important. But anyway, I digress once again. If you decide to join the Breaking Free group, one of the things that we do there is that I run a journaling workshop. I've been running journaling workshops I first got sober in 1988. Left after being almost 13 years sober because I lost that connection, was out drinking again, and then came back, and I've been stopped drinking for about 11 and a half years now this time. But I've always journaled. It's been so important to me. So part of what we do with the Breaking Free is we have a journaling workshop where I give prompts and hints and things that are helpful. It's so important, in my opinion. This is just what worked for me. It's so important to journal because what journaling does is externalizes that internal insanity. And sometimes when we're caught on that reel and I'm so insane, we don't even realize the insanity. Whereas if we take that out and throw it on a page, we see it. It also helps to steer us. There's so many vital things that help me. I absolutely credit journaling with helping me get sober, helping me stay sober, helping me stay sane. Honestly, my head's a scary place to live, so I like to let it live in a book somewhere. So that is something that we do. I love doing it. And both of the books that I've written have the full second half of my books as just journaling workbooks, because I am such a firm believer, and it saved my ass completely. And I love sharing that because I've heard over and over again how important it's been to other people. So there's my plug, Janet. Hope I didn't go over the 5 minutes allotted.
Not at all. I'm just putting the name of your book in the chat.
Thank you.
Recovery Road Trip, guys. Definitely one for the list.